hopefully a few weeks ago you saw the first video I did on this, 10 fantastic, 10 great debut albums. And because I wanted to talk about even more, because there are that many to discuss, I decided to do a second video on it, even only a few weeks after. So please go watch that video if you haven't already seen it. And please check out my Patreon as well, because if you go onto my Patreon, you can get perks that request videos like this and other kinds of videos too, as well as being part of a Discord server where we talk about music every day in there, all kinds of other perks too. So please check it out if you are interested in supporting me. But yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time with this. I think I basically summed up the introduction in the first video I did, and it went on quite long, so I don't want to ramble too much and make this a really long video once again, because you get what the concept is. Fantastic debut albums that are worth highlighting in their own regard because they do something that is special, perhaps compared to other debut albums, and the impressiveness of that is really high because on your first go to do that, you've got to get praise. But if you think there's some albums missing, please go check out the first video that I did, and if they're not in there and they're not in this one, maybe I'll do another video in the future that has even more albums too. Aruja Aftab's got to be started though. A wonderful vocalist. I reviewed her last year and put her high on my year-end list for 2021 for the album Vulture Princess. A fantastic album, but maybe the debut is a little bit better, but I'm not sure how to really rank them. They're both probably about on par with one another, but they offer something so beautiful, so elegant with the vocals. I've seen her live as well, and let me tell you right now, if you've never seen her live, I can assure you she has one of the most beautiful live vocal performances I've ever seen live. So that is some praise. Maybe only ranking below Julia Holter. It's hard to rank, but she is wonderful. Seriously, go check her out. She's fantastic. I'm sure this was mentioned in the comments of the first video I did on debut albums, but this was always going to be included for me anyway. Black Midi Schlagenheim, bro. Like, come on, man. The way this just set apart the UK rock scene from perhaps, you know, the accessible, but also like then bringing in this kind of weird experimental approach that was so odd and bombastic and in your face, and while also just being enjoyable too. Like, these guys, along with other bands in this scene at the moment, might not be everyone's cup of tea, but you just have to watch a live performance from these guys and you have to accept that they are up there with some of the most electric and just pure batshit craziness of all bands coming out of the UK at the moment. Like, look, I'm not trying to say that you can't like Catfish and the Bottlemen, for example, but there is no way that there is a Catfish and the Bottlemen live performance that ever comes close to even what they did at the Mercury Prize Awards, which was a televised event, and they had the guitarist flipping over and going absolutely insane. Like, their performances are ridiculous live, and when you hear their albums too, you understand that these guys are just so weird in the best kind of way. Throwing it back to the 2000s, and we have another indie rock darling. We got Block Party here. I listened to this one recently actually, because it's been years since I played it. Literally years. And for some reason I just was getting eager to keep going back to Helicopter for a few weeks ago. Not sure why, I just really wanted to keep playing Helicopter. And I was like, look man, I'm gonna have to play the whole album. But honestly, it's so good. It's so good. It's refreshingly good as well. I feel like their approach to this post-punk revival sound of the 2000s is easily up there with the best. I mean, you're looking at bands like The Strokes, you're looking at bands like Interpol, you're looking at bands like even Arctic Monkeys, or even other bands of the time too, Franz Ferdinand. I just think Block Party had a bit more of an exciting energy to them that just really worked for a full album. There's quite a nice emotion that comes through some of the tracks. And let's be honest as well, Price of Gas has aged insanely well, because bloody hell, the price of gas these days, I mean, have you been paying attention? We're at new levels of high prices for gas. So yeah, Banquet, an absolute dance raver. Helicopter, another raver too. They've just got so much to offer on this album, and for a debut as well, It's brilliant. Taking it even further back to the 90s, I want to mention Busta Rhymes. Look, man, as rap albums go in the 90s, I'm going to call it one of the most underappreciated rap albums of the 90s. Because in regards to like classic rap albums that get brought up regularly and get brought up often and get cited as like legendary albums, Busta Rhymes is a big name in rap music, but this album doesn't seem to be a big name in rap music either, and I don't know why. I don't get it. I think it literally has all of the best aspects of Busta Rhymes from all of the great features you've heard him on, but it's just him for one album. He has one of the most idiosyncratic voices you've probably heard a rapper come through with. He has such a weird and bold approach. He's absolutely animalistic and strange, and it just works for a whole album. Like, this guy is fantastic, and I don't know why this album doesn't get brought up, but for a debut album and for a 90s rap album, telling you right now, this is in my list. I mean, I never see it in anyone else's list, and I don't know why. I do not understand why, but it is a brilliant album. And yeah, rap albums for the 90s, this is up there. You got to check it out if you've never heard it. Take it even further back now, though. We're going to the 80s. We've got the Cardiacs, man. Look, we've just talked about Black Midi and how weird and bold they were for the new age of British rock music that's kind of bubbling under the surfaces at the moment. The Cardiacs were doing that in the 80s. Like, look, at the end of the day, bands like Black Midi must have taken their blueprint, must have taken ideas from bands like Cardiacs, you know? These guys are so just circus-esque. Like, it just sounds like a weird hellish circle that is just hellish circus that just has one of those really like brash and strange entertainers that you see in films or see in media over the years. Maybe they have one of those like long beards that kind of curls down into like a nice triangular shape. You know the kind of guys I'm talking about. Maybe they're wearing a red suit as well. Well, that's this album. They're just so good. The vocals are bonkers and the tracks are really fun as well. Yeah, another really impressive debut album. Just to carve yourself from everyone else by doing an album like this needs more praise. Going way more modern now, I couldn't continue that string of we're going further back, we're going further back. No, this album came out like 2 years ago. Come and have a go. Obviously, you know how much I like these guys. I've reviewed them. I've included them in the video where I talk about how I think they're going to blow up one day. Please go check out that video. I talked about 5 artists that I think will be massive one day. And I think Come and Have a Go are going to be part of that group. I might even do a follow-up to that video as well, because there's a few artists I've really started to like recently that I think could be big. And yeah, besides the point anyway, I might do another video. Regardless, Come and Have a Go have all the qualities to be one of the biggest duos in pop music. And even if they don't get that big, they should at least be appreciated by the hyperpop crowd, because what they put out is just kind of baiting those kinds of fans. And they are continuing the trajectory of putting out great singles, more exciting songs. They've just put out a few singles in the past month. They've got more music on the way coming this year and next year and beyond. Like, they just are so exciting. And this debut, like I say, the influences of hyperpop, 2000s pop, 90s pop even really come through. And it just makes for one of the most catchy and fun and danceable and exciting pop albums of the past few years that I've heard. And again, for a debut, you've got to give them credit, man. They really blew it out of the park, man. Blew it out of the park? Knocked it out of the park, blew it out of the water. Both. All right, I got Frank Ocean next, but my issue with this was, look, the mixtape that came out in 2011 is a full body of work, and while mixtapes and albums are different, they are by definition different, and there are differences, obviously. I was just thinking, look, it's a full body of work. It's still really good, because Nostalgia Ultra is really good. Don't get it twisted. It is really good. But I was like, it's not called an album. But I was like, it's still a full body of work though. So it's like he already had a go at a full album and then give us the actual official album after with Channel Orange. So I was like, I can't really decide which one to put in, but by definition, Channel Orange is the debut album, so we're going to go with that. And I'm not even going to give you that much detail on it because I've done a full video on this album before. I think it's fantastic. You've heard all the praise for it in the past. Go check out that full video I've already done. Please, because you may as well, and I don't want to extend this video out for any longer than it needs to be. I want to get straight to the point, and I've talked up Frank Ocean so many times before. You've heard all the praise for him. Channel Orange is brilliant. It's fantastic. Yeah, I don't need to say more. Now, I did bash Sampha in my last video of this debut album series that I'm doing here. So it's only fair that I bash Jamie XX because he has not given us enough music over the years, and I can't say the same thing about one and then not the other because they just need to give us more music. Jamie XX In Colour, fantastic debut album. Of course, he was part of the XX, but in terms of his own solo material, this is his debut. And why has he not really done more? I don't understand, but yeah, whatever, man. Just get more music out there. The tunes, the fun, the energy, the inspiration from garage music, even like the kettle drums that were incorporated into these tracks. Feels like it influenced a series of UK hits that just suddenly started using kettle drums. I don't know if Jamie XX is the reason for that, but I want to kind of cite him as some kind of influence because, like I say, from about 2015 to 2018-ish, there were loads of hits that had kettle drums and had a bit more of a dance hall flair to them. Jamie XX was doing that on this album too, so I kind of want to give him praise for that. Just two more to mention. Now we have Kate Bush. Kate Bush, bro. I've ranked her discography on this channel in the past. I've talked about how this album is a remarkable debut. And look, the Kick Inside is just phenomenal. Like, holy shit, the vocals on this album. Like, how do you do this? Not only in your debut album, because that's impressive in itself, but she was like 18, 19 when she was making these songs, when she was putting these vocals down to tape. Like, what? That's insane. Like, that is insane. Just ridiculously talented for such a young age. So quirky, and again, I'm going to use the word idiosyncratic because I think that is a word that describes Kate Bush so well. So imaginative and creative as well. These are words that do get thrown around a lot. But goddamn, Kate Bush was the blueprint for so many beyond her. And again, a debut album here. It's beyond impressive how she was able to do this. And my last pick now before I let you go, Marina and the Diamonds, 2010 album. Again, I have done a video fully on this in the past, so you could watch that video. But just for an extra bit of detail, considering I don't think Marina is talked about much by like the music nerds, if that's what you want to call the music nerd fan group thing. I don't know. But yeah, she was really fun. Like, I want to kind of forget her past couple of albums because I really don't think they've been anywhere near up to par of what she could achieve and what she could continue to do. But there was a time where she was, again, inspired by Kate Bush. I've already just said that Kate Bush inspired so many beyond her. And Marina on this album, 100% inspired by Kate. You know, you've got tracks like Mowgli's Road, has a quirkiness, has a funness to it, but it also just sounds really good. I mean, not everything has to be quirky because, you know, it would just get a bit boring, wouldn't it? But the fact that she was like that, she was fun, she was creative, she was just independent of her peers, just makes an album like this so special for a debut. And she had some hits from it too. Let's not forget, she was pretty big when this album came out. So yeah, you can do that. You can maintain your uniqueness while also putting out accessible music that appeals to a wide audience. And I think Marina early on was the epitome of that. And it's a shame to see that that's kind of gone away a little bit. But, you know, let's not hide away from the fact that this album is brilliant. And I Am Not a Robot as well. What an emotional tune that is. That's one of my favorites by her in her entire career. So yeah, that's it. That is 10 more debut albums that I wanted to highlight. Look, I've given you 20 now, so I could do another video on this again in the future. We shall see. I don't know if I will, but never say never. And tell me your thoughts on my picks in this on this video in the comments. That would be brilliant. Tell me what I've missed off. Tell me if you agree with my picks, if you disagree. Check out the other video as well, because you get even more picks from there. Have a good day. Subscribe if you haven't already. That would be fantastic. And goodbye.